What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another edition of On the Road to Victory. I am your host, Jimmy Smith, and I hope you're all having yourselves a great Friday afternoon. We're here to rock and roll. Last night, obviously, with the Rams not able to put out an injury report at a decent time, getting later videos, and this top matchups one I wanted you to be able to watch. So, wanted to put it out early today, and had some things happen. So it's getting put out here when I can around 12:30, 1 o'clock, and then we'll have the game status report later. And, of course, live tonight, Fan Friday. So hope to see you then. But we're going to break this bad boy down, looking at the top 13 matchups for Week 5, Eagles versus Rams here. And I'm going to give you a little beast before we slap this bad boy in the oven. So let's take a look at the standings, the stats, the depth charts for both teams before we start cooking here, ladies and gentlemen. But appreciate you tuning in. If you get anything from this video, do me a favor, hit that like button. You can always subscribe down below. Would love to hear your thoughts on this one. But let's jump right into this. We're going to start it off with the divisional standings for both teams. And the Eagles, obviously one of two remaining undefeated teams in the NFL, sitting atop the NFC East at 4-0. Well, we saw the Commanders lost last night, so I guess I didn't upgrade that there, but 2-3. So, look, Eagles, they're just going to keep winning, keep staying at top. Don't even worry about these other teams. Focus on what is yours. Now, the Rams at 2-2, looking to climb that ladder, and there is that other undefeated team in the NFL who doesn't even hold a San Francisco candle to the Philadelphia Eagles. So, you can see that the Rams, look, I think they're doing better than most people thought, but they still have some issues, but a lot of talent here. So we're going to break that all down, but let's take a look at how this team is doing so far. And don't worry, as we get into the matchups, I'll go a little further into detail, but just want to give you a little something so you know what's going down here. So you can see the Eagles 5th in points and total yardage, 12th in passing, 2nd in rushing the ball. Tied for 17th in sacks given up. You want to clean that up in the pass game. That's all right. Same with the interceptions, fumbles. We are tied for 10th in turnovers per game. So just clean some things up. I think this offense will continue clicking, getting better, on the same page, all about it. The defense, a lot of injuries. I think they have the same thing going on. A new coordinator, need to get on the same page, find your identity. But with injuries, that makes it hard. So you've seen the struggles. 16th in passing and total yardage, 27th against the pass, but we are 2nd against the run. Tied for 16th in sacks, tied for 19th in INTs. And then you see 1st in forced fumbles, man. They are out there killing it, and you love to see it. So, this team, they've got like 9 forced fumbles. 2 turnovers per game has them tied for 5th. So the defense, we know they can get interceptions. We know they can do these things, get sacks. We are creating pressure. I think we're the top team in the league creating pressure. We just need to see those negative plays. And look, I'm not against having a good defense. I know a lot of people hated having the number 1 pass defense the last couple of years. But to me, I'm all for stopping the pass. I do not mind the bend, don't break. But you can't allow the refs to jump in and give you free plays when you're stopping them on those 3rd and long. So we got to face the refs. We got to get the pass defense, got to get healthy, everything in, order here and on the same page. And I think we'll be all right here once, some health comes back and these guys get on the same page. So take these numbers with a grain of salt. But here are the Rams and how they have done so far this season. 13th in points, 4th in total yardage, 2nd in passing, 18th in rushing, though. So Matthew Stafford out there slinging it, tied for 13 in sacks given up, tied for 26 in interceptions. That's not good. Tied for 1st with 0 fumbles lost, and then they're middle of the pack there with turnovers. You see the defensive side of the ball, 15th in points, 9th in total yardage, 7th in passing, 14th against the run, tied for 26, not getting many sacks there or interceptions, middle of the pack fumble recoveries, and then bottom of the pack there at 0.8 turnovers per game. So we know the talent, but they're not as talented as the Eagles. And look, I'm not a stat watcher, but I always give that to you guys because I know a lot of people base their opinions off of looking at stats. So I want you to be able to see those things and try to give you some context here with it, but you always have to understand the context of those numbers. And look, to me, this Eagles team is only going to get better. And that's not to say that the Rams aren't going to get better too, but the Eagles are a better team. And if the refs aren't jumping in, the stupid penalties, the stupid mistakes, the Eagles should take this one handily. But there are some injuries here, and let's take a look at the reserves first, and then I'll show you updated depth charts of both teams here. But We know that Bradley, Dean, Johnson, Maddox, McPherson are on IR. Rogers obviously suspended. So if you're looking for these names, they're not on the depth chart. This is where they are. Anyone in green, as you see Rogers there, is new to the roster this season. Now, on offense, we know that Cam Jurgens, he's out, but we don't know how long. They said several weeks, but only time will tell that. So he's out. Sua Opeta going to step in. We know that Tyler Steen is the future there. We're hopeful for him. But if Jeff Stoutland says he's not ready, well, then I'm going to believe Jeff Stoutland. So you can see he's stepping into the best line in football here, one of, if not the. So, look, Opeta, he's done all right, in the very brief amount of time. He's good at pass protection. I think he got to work on some things with the run. There's some things he could definitely do. But, hey, look, let's hope Cam Jurgens comes back before too long. You see the offense clicking. Quez Watkins back in the mix. You've got yourself an offense that is only getting better, and it's going to get scarier and scarier for opposing defenses. We'll talk more here in the top matchups. But here's the defense for you. Fletcher Cox reportedly out, so Milton Williams, Contavia Street, and it looks like Tuipulotu might be out as well. So Ojomo could be active for his first game here. So a lot of excitement. You guys know I was the guy that wanted Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis the last 2 years. So excited to see my guys get their chance here to an uptick. They've already been playing. It's funny to see the media not knowing that Milton Williams actually has more snaps than Jordan Davis. All four of our top guys, as I said, this offseason will be a rotation. They'll all be feasting. Fletcher Cox leading the way right now. So him out of the way, it's an uptick for Carter, Davis, and Williams. Street essentially takes over Williams' role, and then Ojomo becomes that fifth guy. And we've been using six. So let's go, baby. Time for the young guys to step up. I'm all about it. And then everywhere else, you see healthy. You see Bradbury at nickel with Job outside. We talked about with Sidney Brown being back, some big nickel, so Bradbury can go back outside at times. So excited there to have Sidney Brown back at practice. He's been limited. We'll see what the game status report is today, if he's questionable or just good to go, but very important news there. Now, the special teams department, obviously, Braden Mann will be elevated. Who else will be elevated is the question there. But you see, Covey at punt returner, kick returner, Boston Scott, everything else good to go there. Now, let's take a gander at the Rams. You can see their reserves, Stetson Bennett. Now, Cooper Kupp being activated off of IR and will play. Same for O'Shawn Mathis. Those guys were both designated to return and both look like they will play this Sunday. Hunter Long and Jason Taylor there as well. So if you don't see them up here, that is why. And I will add them in today when they're activated or whatever, ready to play. They will be a part of this. But as you can see right here, this is what it looks like without those guys. You can see anyone in yellow is new to the roster this season. Puka Nacua. Go, dude, he's just balling out there. Kyron Williams doing well. Tutu Atwell also. So now their offensive line, Alaric Jackson looks like he could be out again. And the guy who replaced him, Joe Noteboom, who was usually their right guard, Kevin Dotson came in, played right guard, did well. I think they keep him there. Noteboom, though, might miss this game. So if he does, they got to use guard/tackle Zach Thomas, who did not do too well. So something we're going to keep our eyes on and talk about in these top matchups. You can see on defense here, they've got no injuries there, but a couple of new pieces, one in free agency, one in the draft are starting. But this is a defense this offense should be able to pounce on. Now, the special teams unit, they've got some new pieces there in Maher, Evans, Ward. But Kyron Williams is listed as the returner. They haven't really been using him, though. Austin Trammell has been elevated, taking over that role. We'll see if they do that again this week. With Cooper Kupp going back, maybe Atwell starts doing that. Maybe they have Puka back there. We will see. But, they've got some depth there and guys to use. So we shall find out sooner rather than later. But there you go. You got all based it up, baby. Now let's cook. Let's do these top 13 matchups. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, whether you agree with where they're placed. You have a better matchup, this, that, the other thing, whatever's on your mind. I'd love to hear it. But let's jump right into this bad boy. We're starting off with number 13 here. The Rams special teams going up against Britton Covey. And look, I know if you're watching guys like Thomas Peterson, Brendan Deeg, they'll tell you, Britton Covey, one of the worst punt returners ever. He sucks. He's got to be fired. We got to bring in Devin Allen, who doesn't even punt return. I'm going to disagree. I think we should stick with one of the better punt returners in the league, and that's Britton Covey. He is first in punt return yards, third in average at 16.78, and he has the fourth longest return so far this season at 52, and it wasn't even a touchdown. So this kid is out here proving all the people that said Jalen Hurts couldn't develop that they just probably should stop talking football. So embarrassing for them. But Covey, dude, he's out there balling. Let the haters hate. I will continue to educate. Now, the Rams, they are listed as 27th, giving up 12.7 yards per return. And they're tied for 26, allowing 3 punts per game there. So that's actually not that bad because it's kind of flip-flop there. So they'd actually be like the 6th best, 5th best, whatever there. So they're not punting much, but when they do, they're giving up yards. So Britton, Covey, you need to make those plays count, man. And I'm looking forward to more of the people learning about football and understanding that you're actually a really good punt returner. And that would be great to have Eagles fans cheering for the Eagles. Now at number 12, you can see I've got a matchup that I think is not going to be much of a matchup for them. And that's why it is so far down. You've got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Olamide, and Quez. But let's be real. The top two, you got AJ, who's got 29 balls for 414 yards. That's 14.3 yards per catch with 2 touchdowns. He's got 154 of those yards are yards after the catch. His longest catch was over 59 yards. And unfortunately does have 2 drops this season, which is weird. But clean that up and we'll be all right. And then Devontae has 22 catches for 284 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's a 12.9 yards per reception. 65 yards of that is yards after catch. And his longest was for 63, 0 drops for Devontae Smith. These guys continue growing with Jalen Hurts, continue to get better, and they go up against, a team that's got some good pass rushers. They've got some good pieces on defense, but this secondary, man, and look, I do feel that some of these guys are underrated. Most people don't even know who they are, but Akella Weatherspoon here, you've got Kendrick and Kobe Durant there, and they're decent. Again, they're 7th, actually, giving up 184.8 yards per game. So that's pretty good. And tied for 3rd, only giving up 0.8 pounds per game. So underrated for sure, but I think they're about to get that work. Witherspoon's got an interception, a couple passes deflected. You've got Kendrick with 2 passes deflected, and then Durant has 2 as well. But I think these dudes are about to get smoked here. So, look, if the other guys want to step it up, OZ got to show a little bit with Quez out. I'm all about it, baby. Let's effing go. But I think they're about to do some work to this Rams secondary. Now, keeping Jalen Hurts protected is going to be a big one here. So, look, 2.8 sacks per game. We're tied for 17th. Not the greatest, but Lane's doing his part. Mailata has struggled in the past. He's getting better at times, and there's times where it's like, okay. But, look, Byron Young, Michael Hoyt, they're just really not that scary to me. 2 sacks for Young right now, half sack for Hoyt. Shout out to Sons of Anarchy. 1 tackle for loss for Hoyt as well. 0 tackles for loss for Young. Not doing too much. Got a young guy and a guy that was a special teamer before he's starting. So, look, this pass rush of theirs, the exterior, it should not be able to generate too much. We should be able to help focus on the interior, which I think is more somewhere we need to look, which you will see as we go through here. But to me, time to clean things up, and you should be able to dominate this matchup here. Now, at number 10, I've got Dallas effing Goedert versus Jordan Fuller, Russ Yeast here. And look, they're going to be using linebackers, safeties, corners. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do as a defense to try to stop people. I do these matches just to give you a starting point, something to talk about. But Dallas Goedert only has 13 catches, 88 yards. That's 6.8 yards per catch. No touchdowns, only 28 yards after catch. And 17 yards is his longest catch. Look, I'm very well aware, and I tell you guys all the time, this team is loaded from top to bottom. And on offense, you have so many weapons. This is why I try to stay away in fantasy. And I have Dallas Goedert, and even when I drafted him, I'm like, God damn it, because there's going to be weeks where he doesn't do anything, and it's somebody else. Now, we've been 4 weeks in, and he hasn't done much, so people losing their minds. I'm not there yet, but I do feel he needs to be acclimated into this offense. Creating plays where you're getting him open in open space, doing things, scheme him open, do what you can. But again, I know there's a lot of weapons here, but I would like to see more. You've got Russ Yeast. He's got 1 pass deflected. Fuller has none. But Yeast is giving up 70% completion percentage, 75% for Jordan Fuller. It's time for Dallas Goedert to get longer than 17 yards. I want to see a big one over the middle of these guys trying to do things. And whether it's the linebackers, the safeties, whoever it is, Dallas Goedert, go get you some. Now, at number 9 here, got DeAndre Swift versus Christian Roseboom and Ernest Jones IV. And look, I know they'll use Kenny Gainwell, maybe a little dabble of Boston Scott too, but this is the DeAndre Swift show, and it's time to use him like that. I understand there's a committee. We're going to use those other backs. That's fine, but get this guy the effing ball. He's got 59 carries for 364 yards. That is 6.3 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, 43-yarder is his longest. He's got 1.9 yards after contact per carry. So every time he's touching the ball, he's getting 1.9 yards after he's touched. That's pretty effing good. He has 9 broken tackles here. I'm loving that. And 17 first down. So keep it. And he's catching the ball too. He only has 9 of those for 37 yards, which is 4.1 yards per catch, and 1 drop there. But he's got an 81.8% catching percentage. So I think, that's pretty good. Keep getting him acclimated as he learns this offense and becomes more part of it. I think special things are going to continue to happen. Now you got Ernest Jones here. He leads the team in tackles at 38. He's got 1 sack, 5 tackles for a loss, 1 pass deflected. I've talked about him before. I think one of the underrated linebackers in this league. And look, it's going to be a good matchup here, watching how they try to stop the run. And again, they're going to use their linebackers more than just against running backs, but this is just a talking point. And then you've got Christian Roseboom, who is tied for second in the team in tackles with 22. So 16 below Jones. You see that this dude is all around the ball. And I told you, he's got tackles for loss, sacks. The dude sending him on blitzes. So we'll see what they try to do here. But Swift, I think he could do some work to these guys, and I would love to see it. Now, let's talk about their offensive line. You got Rob Havenstein there, but who the hell is going to be their other tackle? I just told you about how Noteboom might not play. And you've got, obviously, guys moving around all over because if Alaric Jackson misses, Noteboom, who was right guard, would be left tackle. But if he's out, then you got Zach Thomas. So who the hell is it going to be? But no one really cares because we've got Nolan Smith, Brandon Graham, Derek Barnett backing up Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat. It's time for all of them to go feast. Now, we talked about this, the Rams, they are, doing pretty well here. Second in passing, 18th in rushing, and the Eagles, 27th against the pass, second against the run. So it's a, flippy floppy, where they're going to try to attack, and that's passing the ball. So we need to get, keep creating that pressure that we are, but let's get some negative plays here. And we talked about it, Hassan Reddick getting that cast off, finally gets a sack last week. And, we knew that would happen once he got that cast off. So let's go. He's got 1 tackle for a loss. Also, Sweat has a tackle for a loss, but he's got 2.5 sacks leading the team and 1 pass deflected. And we talk about Nolan Smith continuing to see extended reps. Let's go with that. And BGDB, I'm all about that depth there. So let's go, man. Get this pass rush going. They don't even know who's going to be their left tackle. You need to feast on these guys, and I do believe that we can do that here this week. Now, Havenstein's been playing well. He hasn't given up a sack all season here, and Noteboom gave up a sack, and I'm not sure if that was when he was playing guard or tackle, but Zach Thomas came in, and he gave up 2 sacks at left tackle, and he only played 35 snaps. You got Havenstein, who's played like 230-some, and he's only given up 0. So, that left side could be in for a brutal beatdown, but we shall see. Now at number 7, Steve Avila. You got Coleman Shelton and Kevin. And now I told you Dotson there at right guard, but it could be Noteboom. But who knows what's going to happen there. But I think they're about to have a tough time. We just talked about, the flip-flop of the pass and the rush here. But, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter obviously already creating havoc as pass rushers, not just run stoppers. You got 1.5 sack from both Carter and Davis, 2 tackles for loss from both of them. And then Davis has 1 forced fumble where Carter has 2. And, dude, I'm telling you, the more extended reps you see, this is why I said we needed to draft Jalen Carter, and he will be Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think the media is starting to finally learn who he is, and, man, they're in for a brutal, obviously you can't draft him, he's fat, you got to get Bijan rub. Clearly those people were out of their element, and they're starting to learn how football works, and, man, they're about to learn this week. I think big games coming from these guys, but don't forget about my guy, Milton Williams. I've been so high on him the past few years. And this offseason, how adamant I was. This is going to be a big year for him. This is the game where he gets an opportunity to step it up. And look, Street, he'll get an opportunity as well. But Jomo will probably be dressed. Doubt he sees too many snaps. But all these guys uptick in snaps. And, going against these guys, Avila's giving up a sack. Dotson's giving up a sack. No sacks given up for Shelton there. But, it's interior and stats are not exactly what you want to watch with these guys. We talked about, how they're doing when it pertains to, the run. And, on the offensive side of the ball, they're 18th in rushing, second in passing. So we need these guys to create some havoc inside, get that pass rush going, and also shut down that run. Now at number 6, let's shut down their run here. Kyren Williams, make them one-dimensional here. And, our linebackers, I know a lot of people say, they're not good. You got to trade for Patrick Queen, this, that, the other thing. But I'm telling you, people are going to be fans of these guys before too long here. Nicholas Morrow and Cunningham have been playing really well here. Morrow's got 16 tackles, 3 sacks that were just in this past game, 5 tackles for a loss, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovered. And he's only played in 3 games. Now, Zach Cunningham leads the team in tackles with 29. He's got a tackle for a loss and a forced fumble. And they've been playing well, man. So I'm all about it. Kyren Williams, he's been playing pretty well for the Rams. He got 64 carries for 245 yards. That's 3.8 yards per carry with 5 touchdowns to boot and 1 fumble there. So, look, you talk about this team and how well they've been doing against the run. If we can, make them one-dimensional, of course, a lot of people get confused why you see a lot of stat yards when you're not seeing rushing yards. Well, that's because the teams are passing and not running because they can't. So when you make them one-dimensional, you make them dink and dunk, they're not able to, get those big plays. And I know a lot of people want the other team to score big plays in the media. I don't understand it, but I'm okay with the Eagles not wanting the other team to score. Saw a lot of people in the media and fan base were pissed when the Eagles scored a touchdown. I don't know how to explain this. I guess I'll try with like a John Madden type, but you want your team to score more points than the other team, and that's how you win. So it's actually good that the Eagles scored points rather than not scoring points. I can't believe we still have to try to explain that. But, yeah, good job, Eagles. Keep not letting them score the big plays, but stop with the stupid dinking and dunking, giving up those plays at certain times. Look, I understand why you're running it. I know how a defense works. I watch football, and I get what you're doing, but there have definitely been issues with Slay and Job and Bradbury. And, with the safeties being hurt and the cornerback injuries, it's understandable. So I'm not going to be like media. You got to fire, cut everyone. This guy sucks. Everyone sucks. Not doing it, man. But let's talk about what this team actually looks like. And let's give the media something to actually learn here. So getting into the top 5 here, Tyler Higbee. Now, this guy, not doing too much so far this year, but he does have a lot more than Dallas Goedert. We'll say that. He's got 16 catches, 196 yards, 12.3 yards per catch. 63 of those yards being yards after catch. No touchdowns, but this dude's a receiving type tight end, and we need to be able to shut that down here, and our linebackers have been doing well. Talked about that, but let's talk about these safeties a little bit here. So Reed Blankenship back after missing week 1. Justin Evans and Sidney Brown were out last week. We need them back, hopefully back this week. But if we get that trio, you're going to see all of them. And I've talked about this since the offseason. Sidney Brown, a lot of people didn't think he could play the position he played, nickel, in college, but he can play the positions he played. So he'll be playing safety, dime linebacker, nickel. We've talked about this since before we even drafted him, why we should draft him. So hilarious if the media is just figuring these things out. But Reed Blankenship, man, I know a lot of people wanted to trade him this offseason, but look, 27 tackles. He's only played in 3 games, 1 tackle for a loss, 6 passes deflected, 1 interception. And quarterbacks have a 65.4 completion percentage when throwing at him. He's allowed 17 to 26 throws there. And then you got Justin Evans, 11 tackles, 1 pass deflected, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery. And he's allowing 54.5% completion percentage there to opposing quarterbacks. So that's really good there. Only 6 of 11 that were caught there. And then you got Sidney Brown. Now, obviously, his stats aren't going to be much. He's only got 3 tackles, but 1 pass deflected and 0% because that Mike Evans throw is the only one he's been in coverage there. So he got a pass break up there, and I'm going to hope that they continue to build on that and use him how they should. And I know a couple people were getting worked up when I talked about that the other week, but I'm not trying to work you up by teaching you what these people actually do and what they're capable of. I'm just trying to help. So let's get into the top 4 here, and this is a different one. Usually Jalen Hurts a little bit higher, but I'm going to be real with you. I want to put the ones that are actually, more matchups to me, the top matchups in there, and this is a top matchup. Don't get me wrong. We need Jalen Hurts to, keep playing how he was. But this Ram defense, 7th against the pass, 184.8 yards per game. Take the context, though, as his teams they played, 1.8 sacks. That's tied for 26, so not really getting pressure, and 0.3 interception tied for 25th. So not too many turnovers. One thing we want to see is this team not giving up sacks, not giving up turnovers. So let's go, baby. Now, Hurts is 88 for 130 so far this year. That's a 67.7 completion percentage for 959 yards, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 11 sacks. That is a 92.4 quarterback rating. Hell yeah. Now, running the ball, 40 rushes for 134 yards, 3.3 yards per carry with 3 touchdowns, 17 first downs. So not running as much, but he's running when he needs to. He knows how to take care of himself, when to go down. He's getting better in the passing game. So it's no surprise to me, but use your legs when you need to, but stay healthy there. So that matchup going to be a good one, but I think Hurts should have their number here and be able to work that secondary, avoid the pass rush, and we should be golden. Now, a little more concerning to me is, let's jump into the top 3, and it's our defense versus their quarterback, Matthew Stafford here. So, look, we talk about this Eagles defense, 27th right now, giving up 260.8 yards per game. And Stafford has over 300 yards per game here. So 2.8 sacks per game is tied for 16th, and 0.5 interceptions is tied for 19th. So we are getting pressure, but we're not getting those big plays, the turnovers, the sacks, which I'm not a stat watcher, but you do need those things sometimes to go with all that pressure. So please, let's get that done. Stafford, 103 of 166 passes. That's 62%. So 5.7% completion percentage below Jalen Hurts. For everyone that's saying Stafford's having an all-pro year, just keep in mind Jalen Hurts is having a better year. Now, he's also thrown for 1,229 yards, and now flip-flop the touchdowns and interceptions with Hurts. He's got 3 touchdowns and 5 interceptions for Matthew Stafford there. And he's been sacked 9 times, and that is a 78.1 quarterback rating. So he's got 14.3 less on the quarterback rating chart. So just goes to show you how little the media understands about football, saying Jalen Hurts need to improve on this, that, the other thing. He's doing just fine. Trust me on that. So shut down Matthew Stafford. Make this one-dimensional. He's a gunslinger, but he can dink and dunk. He can do a lot of things to you, but he can also give you turnover. So let's create that pressure. Let's get those turnovers. Now at number 2 here. This is an intriguing one because, we don't have Cam Jurgens. Cam Jurgens is playing pretty damn well. I know a lot of people trade him too, but he hasn't given up a sack. He's been doing well. Kelsey hasn't given up a sack. Dickerson only gave up 1. Now, Opeta going to replace him. So that's going to be much different there. And, you're going against the best interior defensive lineman in the game. An old version of Jalen Carter here in Aaron Donald. 2.5 sacks, leads the team. 5 tackles for a loss. And then you got Brown, who's got a tackle for a loss. You got Williams with a pass deflection and tackle for loss. And even Kobe Turner, their backup nose tackle, has a sack. So they've got a rotation as well of 4 defensive linemen they're going to use, interior guys. And our interior needs to step it up. And we've talked about it. We've struggled, obviously, against, the passing the ball, not against it, but passing the ball. We've struggled to an extent. You're running the ball so well, you don't have to pass. When you're leading, you don't, just because the media says, I win 50 does not mean that that's what the Eagles have to do, because people are offended. They don't know what they're talking about. So we're 12th in the league in passing. Let's get that going a little bit more here. Let's protect Aaron Donald. And I told you this on Behind Enemy Lines, but Aaron Donald, really, we have played well against him, and we have found ways to stop him from getting to the quarterback or doing anything in these games. So we need another one of those games where we shut down their best player, Aaron Donald. And it's going to be tough, but I do believe in this team. And then another matchup, number 1 here. And look, this was hard to make 1 and 2 because it's like, okay, we're missing a guy from both, but this is going to be intriguing. Now, this one to me, this is just going to be the most fun to watch. The top matchup, the heavyweights going at it here. And look, you could say what you want about whoever, because of what Dan Sileo said. You got to trade Slade, fire this guy, whatever, dude. Let's talk about what's actually been happening this season. So Darius Slay's got 4 passes deflected, 1 interception, 21 tackles. He's allowing 70% completion percentage, though. 21 of 30 attempts there for 231 yards. That is 11 yards per reception. So want to see him clean things up. But again, the injuries to the other players on the defense affect everything, the safeties, all that stuff. So take it with a grain of salt. Had a couple of issues here, but laughable to me that people want him traded. No, keep him here. I like having one of the best safety or best corners in the game. Now, James Bradberry, one pass deflected. Now, that's only stats you'll see, but let's talk about his completion percentage when thrown at 66.7%. That's pretty good. Now, he's given up 8 of 12 for 85 yards. That's 10.6 yards per reception. Now, you don't want to see them giving up any, but a lot of this is, when you're playing off, when you're dinking, letting them dink and dunk because you have a big lead. You don't want the big play. So context matters here, but Bradberry doing better than Slay in the coverage department. Now, our best cover corner so far this season is obviously Josh Jobe, who's been doing well. Obviously, he's had his mistakes. I've been trying to help, battle the media and fans here. Jobe's got a fire slur. He sucks. Trade him. He is allowing 52.4 percentage when thrown at 11 for 21, giving up 132 yards. That's 12 yards per reception. He's got 2 passes deflected, obviously just starting a week ago. So doing great there. Obviously for an undrafted kid, that's phenomenal. So great work, man. And the more he plays with Bradberry, it's like he will learn. But the one thing I mentioned was Sidney Brown moving into the nickel at certain, situations when the play call calls for it. He will be there. So you don't necessarily have to have Jobe outside all the time with Bradberry at nickel. You can kick Bradberry outside where he belongs. You can have Brown dabbling in there. Now, I know a lot of talk about Bradley Roby, but I think the confusion is he's not on the active roster yet. So that's why you don't see him. He has to make the team for me to put him on here. And look, we've got injuries, so he's got an opportunity to try to work himself on there. But we'll see how he does here. He's got to learn the system, and I'm hopeful that he at least gets a chance this week. Just throw him out there, put him on special teams. He's not going to be like what a lot of, like the Devin Allen experience. So he's got to be the starter. You got to bench Devontae Smith for this kid. Like that's, I don't want to just be benching people for 31-year-olds who weren't even on a team till week 5. I'm going to wait to see what we've got here first before, I'm crowning him all pro starter here. But, I'm just trying to keep it real, but I would love to see him step it up, be that guy. But I do like Jobe outside. I am a fan of good corners. So keep it up. Hopefully this team keeps growing, this defense. I see the media is so confused about how this defense works still. You don't want to stop big plays. You want to give up a lot of points. I'm going to disagree with that wholeheartedly. We want to win, and we want to stop them from scoring. That's just the key. Those are the biggest things, and that's always how it's going to be. Let the media stay hating. I'll keep educating. But that's all I've got for you. If you got anything from this, do me a favor, hit that like button. You can always subscribe down below. But I'll be back with the game status report later around 5 o'clock. Well, it is the Rams. They have a teeny bopper social media team. So they're really struggling to get news out. So I'm not sure when that's going to come out. But as soon as they get to their jobs and work, I will happily in the middle of my work, we'll stop and then do their jobs too. And then I'll get it to you. But I can only do so much. I actually messaged the Rams the other day. I was like, do you guys post injury reports and stuff for your fans? Or is it all let's go, Buckaroo? That's literally all they post. It's oh boy, this is not football much anymore, is it? So as we can see by our new fans, holy hell. But you diehards, I love each and every one of you. That's what this is for, to get excited about your Philadelphia Eagles. I see a big win here. But every time I say that, I always back it up with, but it couldn't be. Because this is the football. This is NFL football, man. I could sit here and break down every single thing you ever needed to know, but I'm never going to be able to tell you what the score prediction, how the game is going to be, because it's just the way it goes. And I love it. You saw yesterday's game. The Bears beat the hell out of the Commanders, who almost just beat us. That's how it works. Each week, some teams match up better against certain teams. That's just how it goes. The fact that people are still confused about that tells you they shouldn't be claiming to be experts. But hope you all have yourselves a great Friday, baby. That's right, it's Friday. So I hope to see you live later tonight for Fan Friday. But until then, I'm Jimmy Smith, and this is On the Road to Victory. Have a great day. Stay safe out there. And as always, say it with me now, go Birds!